This video is about our California trip back in September 2022, leaving upstate South Carolina. The first stop was Dinosaur Valley State Park in Texas, where you can see dinosaur tracks. Very interesting. Watch our last video and you can see what that's about. And this video is focused on White Sands National Park Visitor Center, something I've always wanted to see, and I think you're going to find this very interesting. We went through Roswell, New Mexico, and ate lunch at the Roswell McDonald's. Got to eat lunch with aliens. We're getting ready to walk into the Roswell McDonald's. You can see the aliens there waiting for us. Here we are in Roswell's alien McDonald's. This was the view from the McDonald's parking lot. I thought it was pretty good. Okay, there's a couple things I want to point out before we get into the national park. We came down through this Mescalero reservation and down through Alamogordo and by Holloman Air Force Base. But Alamogordo is where you're going to want to get any last minute restaurant stops or stay in a hotel or anything like that, because not much down here actually at the national park. I don't believe camping was even available while we were there. You'd have to go somewhere else. We weren't trying to camp at this particular time, so it didn't matter. Now, we did see some very interesting fighter pilots demonstrating, or I guess practicing, at Holloman Air Force Base. It was impressive. So hopefully if you go out there, you'll get to see some of that. I'd like to point out that White Sands National Park, shown here, is actually surrounded by the White Sands Missile Range. It surrounds White Sands National Park. That's this gray area, which I find very interesting. That's the Holloman Air Force Base, and this is San Antonio, Socorro. But if you look at this spot here, Trinity Site, this was the code name of the first detonation of a nuclear weapon. It was conducted by the U.S. Army on July 16th as part of the Manhattan Project. It was conducted in the Orlando del Muerto desert, about 35 miles, 56 kilometers southeast of Socorro, New Mexico, and what was then the United States Army Air Force's Alamogordo bombing and gunnery range, now part of White Sands Missile Range. So just keep that in mind when we're looking at White Sands National Park. It's basically surrounded by this missile range. Okay, let's talk for a minute about the chemistry of White Sands National Park. When we say sands, the composition of sand varies depending on what you're talking about, local rock sources. But most of us, when we're talking about sand, inland sand, is silica, silicon dioxide, usually in the form of quartz. The sand at White Sands National Park isn't quartz or other mineral sand. It is unique and is composed of gypsum selenite crystals. Gypsum is a soft sulfate mineral composed of calcium sulfate dihydrate with a chemical formula, calcium sulfate, and a couple water molecules, that's your dihydrate. Gypsum also crystallizes as translucent crystals of selenite. But don't be confused by the name. There is no significant selenium in selenite. This information I got off of Wikipedia. There's a link in the description to the video. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a walk through the visitor center. The visitor center has some excellent displays explaining the geology and unique wildlife in the park, also some archaeology, ancient footprints, and so forth. There is a short information movie you can watch as well. This is well worth the time. We watched that. It didn't take long. I think maybe 20 minutes, something like that. Very good information. The following are some photographs of some of the displays. We will take a look at the displays before driving a loop road through the actual dunes in the park. This is the White Sands National Park Visitor Center. This is a very nice display that talks about the animals, how they've adapted and turned white, the ones that are in the park. And there's also a display coming up here, this one showing some of the fossilized footprints from ancient people and giant sloths and so forth. Very interesting. I found this display to be particularly interesting because it again shows how the animals that are in the park, where all the gypsum dunes are that are white, they started over time turning white. The same animals outside the park are their normal color. So what's interesting about that to me is that this information from Wikipedia, and they also talked about it in their information movie, that this whole feature here, this White Sands, has only been around from like 7 to 10 to 12,000 years ago. In the movie, they said 7,000 years, and you say, gosh, I thought it took millions of years for evolution to adapt animals like this. But according to this, it didn't. It's much lower amount of time than I would have guessed. This is a very nice long display, so I took pictures of it in segments. I'd encourage you to stop the video and take time to read these. But basically it's talking about the selenite crystals having eroded, washed down the mountains and broken up, and then the wind basically piled them up into dunes. Very good display. I would go back and read them if you can. These are selenite crystals that I purchased in the visitor center gift shop. They got a very nice gift shop. This is a brochure they give you at the visitor center when you first go to White Sands National Park. It's got a lot of good information on it. Safety tips on this smaller brochure here. And information about how the park was formed, geology of it, and so forth. This right here is of interest for what we're going to be doing next. This shows you the basic outline of the park, where the visitor center is, and a nature trail, and this so-called alkali flat trail. And a little closer look up at that. Little inset here gives you a little bit more of information on it. Hopefully that will show up. We basically left the visitor center and drove out to this dune life nature trail. Hiked a little bit back in there. Very hot on the day we were there, so we didn't spend a lot of time out there. It was the middle of the day. I took a lot of photographs and some video, and I'm just going to, the next few minutes of this video will just be a compilation of photographs and miscellaneous video, so you can just get a feel for what this looks like to drive back in here. And we end up at this alkali flats back here, and some young couple was using those sleds to slide down the dune, and you can get those from the visitor center. And they told me it was okay to take their pictures, so I got a little bit of that in there, just show you it's one of the things people do there. So you can see that up here in this inset. So anyway, the next look at the miscellaneous photos and video, and hope you enjoy it. Here we just left the visitor center and are starting out on the Dunes Drive Road, and just be a series of videos and photographs just to show you what it looked like. Our first stop on this Dunes Road was this Dune Life Nature Trail. We took a quick look. Pretty hot, so we didn't stay out there very long. This is like a dune walk nature trail. White Sands. We're gonna get cooked out here in the sun, so we're not gonna do the whole thing.
Notice that this grass doesn't just grow like a carpet, it grows in clumps. Must be some kind of advantage to doing that. Explained in a visitor center movie that the yucca plants, that stem grows taller because the dunes cover them up and they have to grow taller to survive. Interesting. This is all gypsum. No quartz or any of that stuff in it. Very fine. We're right next to Holloman Air Force Base. We can hear the jets in the distance. This is an amazing sight. How blue the sky is. Amazing. Okay, this is just a series of photos I took as we drove on out towards the end of the Dunes Road. And we'll get to some more video in a little bit, but just wanted to share these so you can get a better idea of what to expect if you do go there and drive out there. It's awesome sight, just white everywhere. Definitely bring your sunglasses. Driving on sand. This is interesting. I wonder if there's pavement under this. Probably not. I guess they just are grading equipment over it periodically. Well, this is starting to look more interesting. Camera without shaking. This is the loop drive. Splits off. Looks like. Wow, a lot of white. Can you stop here for a second? Just right here. This is a display board showing the Alkali Flat Trail, and next few photographs show you what that looks like as we started to walk out there. It was so hot that day, we didn't go very far, but this gives you an idea of what to expect if you go there. Well, I tell you what, this trail goes to Alkali Flats, but it's just too hot for us to do this today. It's like a big parabolic solar collector. Wow. We saw a young couple near the Alkali Flat trailhead sledding with the saucer type sleds. and having a great time. I asked them if I could take their picture, and they said yes. So I got a little bit of video of them here having a good time. Okay.
Ready? Yep. All right. Oh no! Oh no! I gotta catch up! Go! 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 Here we go. You won.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Here we're on our way driving out of the park. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like the video and subscribe. Check out our other links and other videos. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.